the revolution of radical self love. Have you ever noticed how we're taught to love others before ourselves? How we're conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first somehow makes us selfish? What if I told you that the most revolutionary act you could perform isn't marching in the streets, but turning that love inward first? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Nancy Duke, a force of nature whose work in self love advocacy has transformed countless lives across communities. Nancy isn't just another self help guru, she's a visionary who has walked through fire and emerged not just intact, but luminous. Her journey from trauma survivor to empowerment specialist has shown us that when Black women prioritize loving themselves, they don't just heal, they revolutionize every space they enter. Her insights were so profound, I knew I had to share them with you today. We live in a world that profits from our self doubt, a world that tells Black women in particular that we must be everything to everyone: strong, nurturing, successful, beautiful, while leaving nothing for ourselves. The titanium cape syndrome, as Nancy Duke calls it. But what happens when we drop that cape? When we step fully into our softness without sacrificing our power, magic happens, revolution happens. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and genuinely loved what you saw? Not just your appearance, but the entirety of who you are. For many of us, that question lands like a punch to the gut. We're experts at criticizing ourselves, at focusing on what needs fixing rather than celebrating what's already whole. Research shows that self love directly influences how we communicate, set boundaries, and connect with others. Without it, we risk falling into unhealthy patterns, allowing our boundaries to be crossed, seeking validation from others instead of within ourselves. We become emotional ATMs, dispensing care to everyone else while our own accounts remain empty. Consider Tarana Burke, founder of the Me Too movement. Before she became a household name, Burke faced immense stigma as the Black woman survivor speaking out about abuse. The pressure to remain silent, to prioritize protecting others over her own healing, was overwhelming. But Burke made a radical choice. She prioritized her healing journey first. By cultivating spaces where survivors could reclaim their voices through radical self compassion, Burke didn't just heal herself, she sparked a global revolution. Millions found solidarity. Conversations around consent shifted worldwide. Time magazine named her Person of the Year in 2017. But none of that external validation would have been possible if Burke hadn't first validated herself. As Nancy Duke emphasized in our interview, self love isn't selfish, it's the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built. Think about it like the oxygen mask principle on airplanes. They always tell you to secure your own mask before helping others. Why? Because if you run out of oxygen trying to save everyone else, you can't help anyone, including yourself. Self love operates on the same principle. It's not about ignoring others' needs, it's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. And this isn't just feel good philosophy, it's backed by science. Studies show that individuals with higher levels of self compassion experience less anxiety and depression. They recover more quickly from setbacks. They even have stronger immune systems. Our bodies literally function better when we're kind to ourselves. Consider Oprah Winfrey's journey. Before becoming one of history's most influential Black entrepreneurs, Oprah endured childhood abuse, poverty, and discrimination. She struggled with low self esteem well into adulthood and faced countless racial and gender barriers in media. What changed her trajectory? Prioritizing therapy and self reflection, practicing daily gratitude and journaling as acts of self care, centering spirituality throughout her journey. Early career setbacks led Oprah inward to focus on building confidence rather than chasing external approval or relationships that didn't serve her well being. The result? She built authentic connections by sharing her truth unapologetically, creating space for millions more to heal themselves before giving love outwardly. She became the first Black female billionaire media mogul and launched a network dedicated partly to personal empowerment stories. But none of that would have happened if Oprah had continued to seek validation outside herself rather than within. As Nancy Duke so eloquently put it, when you learn to love yourself first, you stop accepting crumbs and start demanding the whole damn cake. And isn't that what we all deserve? The whole cake? Self love is particularly crucial for those who've experienced trauma or adversity. It means choosing personal growth over simply seeking a partner to complete us. By focusing on healing and honoring ourselves first, we become more resilient and attract relationships that support our continued growth. Dr. Joy Harden Bradford understood this when she created Therapy for Black Girls, a digital platform supporting mental health among Black women. In many communities, stigma against mental health care meant few safe spaces existed for open dialogue about trauma and self esteem struggles unique to Black women professionals, leaders, and mothers. Bradford's solution: launching podcasts and social media campaigns, normalizing therapy and prioritizing emotional wellness over external validation. The outcome? Tens of thousands engage weekly in online and offline support groups centered around loving yourself first. The platform received national recognition from Forbes, CNN, and NPR, shifting the cultural conversation toward proactive mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness among professional and entrepreneurial circles nationwide. This initiative directly demonstrates how loving yourself sets you up not only personally, but professionally, mirroring Nancy Duke's advocacy perfectly. But let's be real for a moment. Self love isn't just about bubble baths and affirmations, though those things can be wonderful. True self love is about advocating for your needs and caring for your mind, body, and spirit. It's about setting boundaries that honor your worth. It's about speaking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a dear friend. Nancy Duke shared a powerful affirmation during our interview: I am worthy of love and respect, starting with the love and respect I give myself. Try saying that aloud. How does it feel in your body? For many of us, it feels foreign, even uncomfortable. That discomfort is a sign of how deeply we've internalized the belief that loving ourselves is somehow wrong. Self love leads to clear communication and stronger boundaries. When you value yourself, you're less likely to tolerate disrespect or settle for less than you deserve. You communicate honestly with partners while respecting both their needs and your own. You recognize that no is a complete sentence, not the beginning of a negotiation. I'm reminded of a scripture that Nancy Duke referenced: love your neighbor as yourself. We often focus on the first part, loving our neighbor, while glossing over the second part, as yourself. The implication is clear. Self love isn't just permitted, it's the standard by which we're meant to love others. So, what does this look like in practice? How do we cultivate self love In a world that profits from our self doubt, it starts with small daily acts of self compassion, speaking to yourself with kindness, setting boundaries without guilt, prioritizing rest as productivity, celebrating your wins no matter how small, surrounding yourself with people who affirm rather than diminish your worth. Nancy Duke suggests beginning each day by placing your hand over your heart and saying, I choose me today. This simple ritual acknowledges that self love is an active choice we must make repeatedly, especially when it feels most difficult. Self love also means honoring all parts of yourself, including the parts society has taught you to hide or diminish: your softness, your anger, your grief, your joy, your ambition, your need for rest. All of these aspects make you whole and all deserve acknowledgement and care. For Black women, especially, embracing softness can feel revolutionary in a world that expects us to be perpetually strong. The strong Black woman trope has robbed many of us of our vulnerability, our right to rest, our permission to be fully human. Reclaiming softness, allowing ourselves to be nurtured as well as nurturers, is a radical act of self love. As Nancy Duke emphasized, in this era, softness isn't weakness, it's the secret weapon that keeps you glowing, growing, and cashing every check life owes you. I want to challenge you today, not just to nod along and think, that sounds nice, but to commit to a radical act of self love right now. Place your hand on your heart. Feel its steady rhythm beneath your palm. That beating heart deserves your love, not tomorrow, not when you've achieved some arbitrary goal, but right now, exactly as you are. Because here's the truth: self love isn't just personal, it's political. When we love ourselves fiercely, we challenge centuries of conditioning that taught us to prioritize everyone else's needs above our own. We disrupt systems designed to keep us depleted. We model for younger generations what it looks like to value ourselves inherently, not for what we can produce or provide. The world will try to convince you that self love is selfish, that you're asking for too much, that you should be grateful for whatever scraps of affection or respect come your way. The world is lying. You were born worthy of love, starting with your own. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to prove it. You don't need anyone else's permission to claim it. So today, I'm asking you to join the revolution, not with placards and protests, though those have their place, but with the quiet, persistent rebellion of choosing yourself day after day. Choose yourself when it's easy. Choose yourself when it's hard. Choose yourself when the world tells you that you shouldn't. Because when you truly love yourself, you don't just change your life, you change the world. You show others what's possible. You create ripples that become waves, that become tsunamis of transformation. The revolution of radical self love starts with you, right here, right now. Will you answer the call?